Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 11 of Hell's Paradise. So, last we left off, we have forged an alliance with Blade Dragon, and yeah, we are starting this fight confrontation with these monks, sages, servants to the Tensen, something like that. Um, the rest of the group is on our way to converge with May and Gabimaru because they kind of ran off on their own, and the brothers have gotten out of the hole. As to what's going to happen with them from here on, who knows? Our little baby girl be training, even if Sensei doesn't want to acknowledge that he's training her, because he's now lost two separate students and everything, and he's such a sympathetic, empathetic type of person that it's just, he doesn't want to go through that again. But yeah. Shit's happening, and we're coming up on the finale of this. So the next video after this will probably be the final two episodes. I'm probably going to do them together like I tend to do. I don't fully know what to expect on how this is going to end. Again, as I've stated before, we already have a season 2 announced. So this story is not ending in this season, obviously. The question is, where the frick would it leave off? I'm kind of thinking at this point, we're probably going to leave off with the introduction of the leader of the Tensen, I guess you could call him. The red-haired one in the intro, who we still haven't seen. Maybe we're going to leave off with, with their introduction. And obviously, they would change the entire game just by being there. That's the only thing I could think of. Excuse me. Because it's got to end off on something big. And it's got to be something we haven't seen from the opening yet. So that's the only thing that makes sense. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But either way, we're going to get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So we get to see the leader of the Tensen at the end here. Finally having arrived, the mysterious red-haired one from the intro, who we had not yet seen. Because the rest of the group have gone to Horai. They're searching for Gabimaru and May, and instead of finding them and everything, they just went straight to Horai. And is Toko dead? I mean, he's a living being who used to be equivalent to humans. they kind of imply that they weren't human exactly, but their own kind of species. But we know he was turning into a tree and that his time was almost up, but this leader of the Tensen just popped off his head with, I assume, his Tao, just like that. Is Hoko dead? Is it just that simple? And now what? Now, like, now May doesn't have anyone to take care of her. Is she gonna stick with the others? And speaking of May, um, we find out her thing. Um, she has been alive for at least a century, and it's kind of implied that she's probably had the elixir of life, and that's why she's kind of immortal. But we also find out why she was under why the Tencent Orange Tencent knew her, and what her entire thing was prior to living with Hoko and everything. We find out that May was, like, quite literally a sex slave for them, seemingly specifically for the Doshi. It seems like she was with the Tencent at first, but then she was banished, and then she was like basically a plaything for the Doshi for their yin yang training and everything with their Tao. But she suddenly disappeared. That's what I'm getting from it. And it's been a century since she disappeared. She's obviously, we know, been under Hoko's protection. And the scar on her, which can turn into like the almost tattoo like marking that can even crawl up her face and all. And we see that that the one brother has the same thing now. That the scar was given to her by the Tencent. And so she's had that ever since. And it has that power to transform when she uses her Tao, it seems. And now that the brother has it too, he's able to utilize this as well, including with the healing powers and all, which is fascinating. But yeah, so this kind of changes a lot. Gabimaru becomes fiercely protective of her after hearing this. He is livid, like he is absolutely incensed finding out that they were using her as a sex slave. It's like the thing is Gabimaru has said multiple times now, and it's been kind of a big plot point, that he was raised into not really feeling emotional connection to things and people. That he's supposed to be like basically this emotionless killing machine. This ninja whose only purpose is to be strong, and emotions are apparently weak to them. But as he's pointing out in this episode quite a bit, he's been changing on the island ever since coming here. And the thing is, he's attributing it to the island, but no, it's because of Sagiri, most notably. But in some cases, some of the others as well. But Sagiri especially has been changing him. The way she handles things, the strength and weakness working together in her, has been affecting him, as well as just the overall goal of him getting back to his wife. All of this combined is kind of telling him that there's other ways to handle this, that the ways he's been brought up in and trained in his entire life are not correct. That he's more than a killing machine, that he can be a good person. And we've seen how he's grown. We've seen how he's progressively gotten more and more kind towards others. And there's times where he still doesn't understand. Like we saw with him in the bathhouse with May and everything. Like he didn't understand the issue with being in there at the same time as her. And he was very clearly socially awkward as hell about the entire situation. But we also see at the same time, he made a point of complimenting her and saying that her scar is not a sign of ugliness or anything like that, because the most beautiful woman he knows has a scar across her face. And it's clear, like, I don't think he even realizes it, but he did say that to comfort her. It shows how much he's changing, and we see that really come to a head in this episode with his fierce protection over May. And also, we see that the Blade Dragon, which, by the way, I know that's not his name. I know that's just a nickname that's given to him. I cannot remember his actual name. I have tried, but I can't remember it. So I just call him Blade Dragon. Deal with it. But even he was really pissed about this. Like, when he heard that May was being used as a sex slave for their training, like, you even saw he got really pissed. Like, he was about to, like, go off on them. The only thing that stopped him was sensing Gabimaru's, like, murderous intent. And even then, Blade Dragon still very much helped out. Like, he did kill one of the Doshi. We kind of got from Blade Dragon's backstory that he has a short temper, and he doesn't like being insulted or seen as weak. But it never really made it, like, look like he was necessarily a bad person. Just that he has an anger issue. So it's like, he's always been kind of one of those characters who I've always kind of wondered, is, like, where does he kind of fit on the scale of these characters? Is he one of the, like, more bad characters, or is he one of the more good characters? Or is he kind of, like, right in the middle, like Rokuroda, who is just, like, not really good or bad, just a literal giant baby? It's like, how do you scale him? And I think he is a good person, but again, he's very willing to kill. He has a very short temper, but he doesn't seem like he's a bad person. I wouldn't say he's as good as Saguri or Gabimaru or anyone like that. I'd say he's more. I'd say he's better than Yuzuriha, though. Yuzuriha is 100% selfish. She only does anything if it fits with her goals or desires. If it's something that she wants, she'll go for it. If it's something that interests her to some degree, she'll go for it. But if it's something that serves no purpose to her, she doesn't care. I would not say she's a good person. I would not say she's necessarily the worst person. She's more towards the middle, but for obviously a different reason than Rokuroda. And I say she leans more towards the negative. And I'm not saying that I dislike her character or anything with this. I'm just saying in terms of morality and whatnot. Blade Dragon, I would say, it leans a little more into the positive. He's not quite in the middle. If the middle would be like a 50%, he'd be like around 60, 65. Gabimaru would be around 80 to 85. Saguri is like a 95. Like, she's almost as good as you can get. Going back to Yuzuriha, she would be like a 40. Let's be honest. Rokuroda is a straight 50. Because again, just literal giant man baby. It's, yeah. But yeah, Blade Dragon, definitely a lot better of a person than I honestly knew to give him credit for. The fact that he got this legitimately pissed at the revelation that May was used as a sex slave is a very good thing. Anyone, like, with any sense of morality should get pissed at that. Which should be everyone. It should be everyone. It's not going to be, but it should be. I mean, it's just entirely too fucked up. But this explanation on the yin and yang of the Tao and all also explains why the Tencent has sex. Though I do genuinely believe it is also for pleasure, at least for some of them. Maybe there's some of them who do just do it for the training and whatnot. But I genuinely believe that some of the Tencent are doing it for pleasure. The pink haired one, 100% pleasure. Like, honestly, I don't think that they even really care about the training. I think that they just want to fuck. They're just a horny little creature. The blonde one that they're often paired with, I think it's kind of 50-50 with them. Like, they are very much doing it for the training. But they also very much are, even if they don't want to acknowledge it, doing it for pleasure as well. Like, that was made clear before with their conversation and everything. As for the others, it's kind of impossible to tell because I don't think we've seen any of them engaging in it. I think only the pink and the blonde one are the ones we've seen. And we've seen them like 3 times now. The first time they were shown when discovered by the brothers, they were shown doing it like when something else was being talked about, and now they're shown again doing it in the background like when this is being talked about. So it's like 3 times that we've seen the Tencent having sex, and it's been specifically those two. I kind of believe, based on that these two are the horniest of them, and that they just are constantly fucking. Which, I think that's kind of funny, hence the laughter and everything. Um, but hey, I mean, I can't, like, I can't look down on that. Like, be your horny ass self. It's like, go with it. Have fun with it. Fuck each other's brains out. Like, just nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't rape the girl anymore. I don't know if the Tencent actually ever did. It's not quite clear. Because again, going back to that, it sounds like May was with them at first, but it's unclear if they were using her. I think they were. I think they were, though, because the scene where it shows her like having gotten her scar, she was topless. So I think that they were, even though they don't need to, because they can, switch between physical forms at any time. But I think they were using her because it mentions she had very strong ki. So they're probably using her for the strength of her Tao. But at the same time, they can switch back and forth themselves. So it's like it would only be the strength of her Tao that would like give reason for her specifically. But then she was banished from the palace. And then the Doshi started using her as their plaything, but she just kind of ran off and disappeared. And the Doshi want her back. We definitely see that. The Doshi want her back for their training, to continue to rape her. And yeah, again, that set off Gabimaru and Blade Dragon. And they were just like, not happening. Let's go back to the brothers, though, real quick. I already talked about how the one brother, I don't know their names either, Blondie, how he got the powers and everything, presumably from the plants. Like, because he was almost, it seemed, absorbed by the, not absorbed, that's the wrong way to put it, but taken by the plants, but was able to get out of it in time. But it seems like it was enough to where it's like it was starting to, how would I put it? To create the elixir from him. So because of the time he was with, like, in the plants and all, he's like unlocked his Tao and unlocked these abilities to heal, to use Tao like he's using it. So that's very fascinating. We also see, though, that he is fiercely protective of his brother. And we kind of got that feeling before. Like, there was some questioning of it, because there's the one part where it looked like he was going to leave his brother behind. But then in reality, he was grabbing a giant weapon to use. Um, but I kind of always got the feeling that he was protective of his brother. But now we're really seeing it in action, and we see, like, the instant when they were kids, when his brother was threatened, he steps up with a knife and slices his own eye out. And so at least that scar on his face was his own doing. And he's basically like, do we look like rich hoity-toity fools now, bitch? Because the at the time bandit leader, we know Blondie becomes the leader of the group. The leader at the time was threatening his younger brother, saying like, "Oh, you two look like rich, well-to-do fools. Let's change that, and we're gonna start with this little one here." And dude's like, "Nope, not fucking happening. I'm gonna slice my own eye out to provoke them, to prove to them that we are not like that, so my brother doesn't get hurt." And it's like, that's kind of precious. It's like, dude is a good dude. He wants to protect his brother. He's a little crazy, but yeah. And we see that his brother senses in him some changes from this new Tau infusion. So it's going to be interesting to see how that comes into play. What all these changes are going to be about, and everything that this leads into. Um, but yeah, at the end, we get our view of the leader of the Tencent, who again apparently kills Hoko. And even though like Sagari is there, and the ones who are there are still very strong, it's like I'm still worried about them, you know? Because the leader of the Tencent, I assume, is the strongest amongst them. I guess we'll see. We have 2 more episodes to go. I actually didn't expect them to appear in this episode. I expected them to maybe appear at the end of next episode. So this is earlier than I really expected. Um, but tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Hell's Paradise? Let me know. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.